He's the guy now infamous for mysteriously losing 2 wives. Drew Peterson insists he's innocent, that he had nothing to do with the murder of his 3rd wife, Kathleen Savio, or the disappearance of his 4th wife, Stacy. But he's never seen what I'm about to show you. Exclusive documents detailing the case against Drew Peterson. How do you charge someone with murder without a body? That's the challenge prosecutors face with the case of Stacy Peterson. At this point, the key to a conviction may be this 4-page timeline put together by investigators. The timeline was supposed to remain confidential, but it was dropped off for me at the station in this manila envelope, along with a copy of documents never made public, including a law enforcement list of 59 investigative leads and the police report from the night of Kathleen Savio's murder. Who left all this? We don't know, but we have learned the originals were stolen from a state police car.
I was shocked by what was in there. I was really, really shocked.
At least one other person got a copy of the documents. Charlie Doman, the nephew of Kathleen Savio, Drew's 3rd wife. He tells us the post office found the papers, saw the Savio name, and delivered them to his mom. Do you fear that the state's attorney's office will be angry with you for talking to us about this?
I think a lot of people will, yeah. The state's attorney's office, probably the state police.
In fact, he contends a few days after the papers arrived, troopers showed up at his house.
They started threatening me. The female state police officer said that. At first, she said that they were going to come kick my door in and go searching through every single piece of paper in my house until they find what they're looking for.
State police refused to comment on Charlie's allegations. He did turn over what he had. He describes the evidence he saw against Drew Peterson as leaving little margin for error. In seeing the documents, did this solidify your opinion that he should be arrested?
Definitely.
The timeline delivered to Charlie and Fox Chicago starts on October 16, 2007, 13 days before Stacy was first reported missing. At 11:30 that night, it describes Stacy discussing plans with her sister to divorce Drew. A Halloween deadline is set to get out of the house. The document shows the next day Drew Peterson uses a Bolingbrook Police Department computer to inquire about Stacy having a potential boyfriend. Fast forward to October 28th, 10:59 a.m. Dead. That's what's written on the timeline. Stacy stops returning phone calls and text messages from friends. Drew, on the other hand, calls off work at 2:30 in the afternoon. Later that night, the paperwork says Drew met his stepbrother, Tom Morphy, at a Bolingbrook Starbucks. The two of them return to Drew's home and move a, quote, large blue round plastic container weighing approximately 150 pounds with a screw on top with clear plastic protruding from outside the master bedroom area. Then at 11:14 that night, Stacy's sister drives to Drew's house worried about Stacy. Where's Drew? Investigators believe he could be at a nearby quarry. A handwritten note on the timeline suggests he's possibly disposing the body. After scouring through all this paperwork, we wanted some more information. So we placed a call to the state's attorney's office, hoping for some answers. A spokesman would only acknowledge that the originals of these documents were stolen, but he stressed that our story would not compromise their investigation.
It's just a bizarre thing that these confidential records are now public. I've never seen anything like it.
Defense attorney and radio host Karen Conti plans to hold a mock trial for Drew Peterson on her show. She says despite what prosecutors say, losing this paperwork is a critical mistake, especially at this point in the investigation.
You just don't see these kinds of notes being circulated publicly, and I would be very upset if I were a prosecutor here.
Charlie remains upset for a different reason. He's coming forward because he wants to put pressure on authorities. If they feel that this tarnishes their case, what's your reaction to that?
I think they need to step it up a notch then.
But Stacy's family says it's comfortable with the pace of the investigation. They insist the timeline could change as more evidence and more information is gathered. As far as they know, this case is far from complete.
We want to make sure it's done correctly. And I'm sure the prosecution and Illinois State Police know that this is a very important situation and case.
So what does Drew Peterson think of all this? Well, we'd certainly like to know. We backed out of an interview with him because his lawyer insisted first on photocopying our documents. We didn't want to be in a position of facilitating the defense strategy at all. A side note here, I called into WLS Radio this morning to talk about our investigation, and Drew Peterson was in studio as a guest. I urge host Mancal Muller to ask Drew one question that Drew Peterson has never come clean on.
October 28th, 2007, 10:59 a.m. Where were you, Drew?
Well, I have to say, without a doubt, I'll have to refer you to my attorney.
I know. You see,
Why won't he answer it? Drew, why won't you answer that?
Well, it's something to do with the investigation, and Mr. Brasky advised me not to speak of such things, so we're not going to.
We're going to talk much more about this story tomorrow morning on Good Day Chicago. I'm going to come in studio. I'm going to join Mike Bars and Jan Jeffcoat at 8:25.